Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here and thank you for your patience. We were talking backstage that, we have strategies in our research for this case, and we were just talking our strategies so that when we bring it to you guys live, it's going to be the best deep dives I think that you can probably find out there on this case right now, which is the whole thing and reason why I wanted to have Melly on again is because this case was kind of brought to a lot of people through the prison phone calls, but being a document type person like Melly is, and how we want to listen to the police interviews, but also read through the police interviews and compare. I just wanted to have Melly on because she knows this case backwards and forwards. And I'm just so happy that you're here with us. And we're going to listen to our friend JFK's show with Bubba that he did because we didn't really get to finish it on my channel. And I'm happy to have like your opinion and impression of this interview too as we listen. So thanks for being here, and everybody hit the like, and I'm going to link Melly's channel in the chat. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And
And
hello.
yes, thank you for having me on. Hello, hello. I appreciate it. And hello to chat. Good to see everyone here. I love coming on your channel, so I'm always open to talk about this case with you.
Excellent. And yeah, I really think that for the majority of this interview, it was really interesting. And I think JFK asked like the right questions at the right times in a way that it didn't make Bubba feel like uncomfortable, but he was asking questions that were like, okay, yeah, we kind of need to know that answer to this question here. And it wasn't anything that was like babying him. He just kept yapping for almost 4.5 hours.
I'm actually shocked that Bubba went on for so long. And it's a really good interview. I really enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to come back and watch it to see what we missed the first time around, because there is sometimes things we miss with so many details of this case. So I think it's great that I'm happy to be here to review this with you. And I think JFK did a good job, although he's not like super into the case like we are, but he did do a very good job with Bubba.
I totally agree. Before we get started, I wanted to thank Chuck's Anderson's granddaughter for becoming a member, and thank you, Pointer Lover, for also being here for 47 months. It's probably definitely one of my longest members, so I really appreciate that. So Bubba was in the documentary, for those who don't know, on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty interesting. There's also one on Hulu. You can look it up under like the Mean Girls search bar. But according to the Netflix documentary, the crash and the evidence discussed at trial, the events leading up to the crash were roughly this. So this is a brief breakdown of the events leading up to the crash. And the whole reason why I think Bubba's statements and his interviews, all of them, are interesting and need to be looked at closer is I just don't think that the public has been given the full truth about the events that led up to the crash that night. And I think that there's very few people who know the truth, and either they've changed their story multiple times or they just refuse to kind of speak their story. I mean, even Rosie's statements in the Netflix documentary, she barely had much to say.
She really didn't. I don't know. Sometimes throughout that documentary, I felt like I could feel when she was lying or not being completely honest. Like the energy, I just sometimes felt it was very awkward.
I agree.
Um,
Does chat
especially
think, for those in
especially when
chat, while
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. I just want to know, like, did people in chat who have seen it like feel the same like vibes we were feeling about Rosie? Go ahead. Sorry.
Like when she's talking about the shrooms, she's like, "Yeah, no, we didn't take them. Like it was too late." And the director's like, "So no shrooms?" And she's just like, "Yeah, no." Well, she didn't even say no. She was like, "Yeah, it's it was just too late." Like I don't feel like she was giving very structured, definitive answers.
And those answers don't even really align with her text messages because as you went through the documents tonight in your stream, there was a refresh of just Mackenzie and Rosie's conversations. Is it cool if I trip there at Paul's house? And her response was like, yes. Like there wasn't anything that was like, I don't know, it's getting kind of late. Or it was like enthusiasm. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing with her driving by the scene or the roads at 6 a.m. too is like that place is a whole different vibe on everything that we know. you know?
I know. And okay, so Fancy says she doesn't have the players down. Let me run through a little bit real quick too before we get started. But I did want to say there was something about this interview that we listened. So we've only made it through an hour and a half. Obviously, we're not going to get all the way to the end tonight, but there was something he said about Paul that I thought was interesting. So Paul's parents were out of town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said when the crash took place, Paul's parents like came back like immediately. And I thought, like, I don't know, you could look at this different ways, I guess, but I just figured, like, why would they cut their time away short based off of a crash that had nothing really to do with their son, or you know what I mean? It's almost like there was more to what had happened that night, and the parent, is it possible, I guess I'll phrase it as a question, is it possible something more was going on at the house in the extent that Paul's parents thought, like, we got to get back there, and like in case we have to talk with police or something like that? Or did they talk with police? Like, was it
No, their house like didn't get searched or anything. Like if I would have, I guess it's the crime didn't happen at their house, but I figured they would at least have gone there. And like, I guess for what reason though, I'm not sure, but maybe to talk to Bubba there. But remember, Bubba wasn't very open to talking to them at first. So I mean, Bubba wasn't very open to talking to them at first, and I think Paul, it took him a while too. So I'm thinking if they would have searched or gone back there, then I would have understand if the house would have been involved or if that was where the crime was at. But I also thought that was weird. So I'm wondering, did the parents know more obviously than we do?
Yeah, that's kind of, and the thing interesting about this 4-hour long like hangout with JFK is like JFK makes you feel very welcomed and just like at ease. It's a very chill setting, don't you think? And I feel like that helped Bubba just keep yapping and yapping with things like
Mhm.
Paul's parents returning early. Like anyone might have heard that and just thought nothing of it, but like just the way that we were looking at this crime in particular and other crimes, every little detail is like the devil's in the details in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely.
Because like also if I was gone and I'd heard this had happened, I'd be like, oh man, like, well, thank God our kid wasn't involved. Thank God our house wasn't like involved in the crime scene or anything. You know, if they want to speak and get a statement, like I'll talk to them when I return or something. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like an urgency to it.
Exactly. Like why and I think they were somewhere, was it like North Carolina? I
I
thought it was
cannot
something
recall, but
we
that's
saw it in the documents today. I'll have to go back and review.
because if it
Um,
was somewhere far away, that makes it even more like noteworthy, I think.
yeah, exactly.
And hello, everybody. I see Val and Neat Noodle, Adrian. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And welcome to Angel Eyes, our new moderator. And Evie's here. Thanks for coming here from Melly's community, too, everybody. All right, let's listen to Bubba.
We have all these different things, all these different colleges, all these different events that we have planned that we know takes place at these colleges. So the theme that night was about us going to college. So when she was driving home, she got like emotional, she said, because the sun was rising.
Who did? Kenzie.
Rosie.
Rosie. Okay.
Yeah. When she went back, where they said she drove past the route, this is the story that was told that rumor came from.
Wait a minute, so there's a room. So let's back it up. So there's a rumor that Rosie went by the accident scene.
Yeah, they say
supposedly
they're saying that
Rosie went by the accident
rumors
scene.
said that me, I was the fourth person involved, and that we stopped by the accident.
Hold on 1 second, Bubba. Go ahead, Jay, bro.
Supposedly they said that they went by the accident scene and took the drugs from the car.
To just muted.
No, he's not muted. I
Did
think no, I don't think he heard you. He's not muted. I heard you though. You heard him, Kevy Kev? You heard Jay, bro? Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't hear you.
Yeah,
I heard Jay, bro.
I'm able to hear you too. I'm not able to hear him.
Yeah, I don't know why. You want to leave and come back, Jay, bro? It's probably because I put you back. I think because I put you backstage that time. My bad, bro. Okay, so she went back by there because she was emotional about the college, and that's the reason why. You want to finish that?
She ended up, like, she has to take Pearl Road to get to her house. Like, that's the side of town she lives on. That's the main road that you take from point A to point B. Like, literally, no matter what. And so she drove down that road, and as she was driving down that road, she got like emotional, thinking about how, like, you know, this our whole life we grew up talking about how much we hate this city and how much we hate the people in the city. But then she like came to the realization that it's not that bad, and that, you know, she has her family here, and there's been a lot of good memories.
This is all just so weird. Sorry for him to be talking about what Rosie was thinking about that morning. Because remember, he said that they drove to his house first, like where his parents live, but his parents had COVID, so then she left. This is all at what, 6 in the morning?
Yes, exactly.
And
And
now,
and
yeah,
why isn't Rosie speaking for herself?
at this point, right?
Exactly.
And that's why I'm like, okay, so she goes on Netflix. Obviously, no, they didn't pay them, did they?
Not Netflix. Mm-mm. I heard that on possible other ones they got paid, but definitely not Netflix.
But think about how Bubba, like, talks about, like, they're really into, like, modeling and stuff. It's like they don't have to get paid nowadays to have their name and, like, social media is, like, platformed. Do you know what I mean? Where they're still getting paid.
Yeah, I know. I think Netflix should pay though. That was like a number one movie for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, they're just greedy AF.
Yeah, exactly. Greedy AF.
They wanna they're yeah, they
But then Bubba says here that they drove together. So remember I was telling you that in an interview with, I believe her name is Ivory on TikTok. Bubba said that they drove separately. They never drove together that morning.
right. They both had different vehicles because they had come from different places or whatever prior. And then they go over to his place, and then she decides to leave.
Yeah.
And now she's having, like, a whole, like, breakthrough and realizing her town isn't that bad and at the near the crash scene. Like, see, we're talking about the rumor that Rosie and you possibly were at the crash scene, and now you're going off into this whole tangent. That's the problem and that's the problem also with him being so young, he doesn't realize this. Like, people, especially in true crime, the more details they're giving you, the more we're kind of wondering, like, like, why are we not directly talking about the rumor that you guys were there that morning? Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about her epiphanies she was having.
Yeah. It's the most odd situation ever after partying. Well, I think they were partying. They say they weren't, but I truly believe they were.
Oh, yeah. Especially the text messages that have come, why are they not showing these details in the Netflix series? Like, about somebody texting Davion about tripping balls, or Davion texting somebody about
Mhm.
tripping balls.
I heard Netflix was the one that left the most out, but I haven't seen the Hulu one. So I can't really like give my opinion on that because I haven't seen them all. But
Is
I
the
heard that Netflix
Hulu
left
one
a
the
lot
Mean
out.
Girls episode?
I think so.
Okay, I saw it and it wasn't anything that was like, "Wow."
Okay, I watched the Annie one too, and it wasn't anything wow. So
Okay, yeah.
maybe
I'm
maybe
telling
we're
you,
not missing anything then.
yeah, like, the real deep dives are coming on YouTube. Like, I know TikTok has been
Mhm.
doing their own stuff, and, like, that's a whole different format, and people do like that as well, but the deep dives are in the FOIA documents that are being read, the messages, and, like, yeah, like, that's where we're gonna kinda iron out some things. I just wanna thank Evie for becoming a member, so thank you. Is it possible, do you think, because I'm just having this idea now thinking about how ridiculous this whole morning is so far from Bubba's perspective. Is it possible they dropped one vehicle or Bubba's vehicle off at his house and then went in Rosie's vehicle and, like,
Yes, it is possible. That could be because I thought Bubba said he had his mom's car.
but he
So
is saying it as if Rosie left him at his house and she went off alone.
well, that's what he said in another interview. So, that he contradicts himself. He said that they drove in 2 separate cars and they were never riding together. So, Rosie drove by herself or with Bubba? We don't know. And if they know that she drove by at 6, I'm wondering why that wasn't, like, looked into more, um,
Yeah.
with other businesses, cameras,
Yes.
etcetera.
And that's the problem too. Like, again, I feel like people who dig into this case can still see Mackenzie as guilty and as, like, she's where she needs to be. The same with the Watts case. Chris is guilty. He's where he needs to be. but there's things about it that makes me feel like, why does it feel like there's like loose ends that are like not being tied together or something? Like Rosie not cooperating with police, and Bubba coming out on all these platforms for hours and hours to clear her name and to put out this narrative. And it's all just like, so who cares? Mackenzie's in prison. Why do you care? It's like, but if there's more to all this and people are getting away with it, like that irks me. And like, I feel like we don't have the full truth here.
I agree. I definitely don't think we have the full truth on everything. And some parts maybe we'll never know, but for the most part, how this investigation was done, I do find some stuff suspicious. And for us in true crime, like we are the voice, we are like the true crime community. So we should want all cases to be looked at equally, fairly in the judicial system.
And
Aspect,
we want
you know
all
what I mean?
people held accountable. Like if there was more culpability, like, or more crimes being committed, like why should they get away with it just because I think Mackenzie's guilty? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And if there was drugs I don't know. I just find it strange that there really is very limited CCTV footage.
Exactly. But I heard there was also more cameras that could have been retrieved from other businesses, and I don't know how accurate that is. So I wonder if like maybe placing a call into that Tim Troop and asking him what that would cause. Like, because I'm curious, was there other businesses that had cameras? Because I heard that there was.
And wouldn't one of the most knowledgeable people in clearing something like that and ironing that out would be Bubba. Bubba, since you said that this is the route that Rosie took that morning and that she had nothing to do with getting to the crash scene or taking anything from the crash scene, etc., do you know what businesses on her route would have shown her so that your story pans out?
Exactly.
We have this solid friend group of 5-6 people that we freshly met, and it's the first time in a long time we're this big of a group of people, and so like diverse between male and female, that like everyone really got along. And she's just thinking about how like that might have to be disbanded when we all go to college, because we're all going to separate colleges. And that's like, that was a story that she was telling people, like in a way of like, it's just so coincidental that I was thinking that she was thinking about, you know, our friends and us being a friend group and us finally finding each other and being comfortable and being a really tight clique. And it's just crazy that like those thoughts were running through her head as she's driving past the road that they just turned down. That at that point,
so she had no idea at the end of that. So she drove right.
Yeah, no idea. You can't see the end of the road. And
so what do you mean you can't see the end of the road by looking up the street? You're saying. So now what? Now what if you're driving down that road? Does that road come up fast? That stop sign come up fast? You can't see. Is it dark down there? Like what type of road is it?
At the end of that road at nighttime. So the beginning of that road does have streetlights, but the end of that road doesn't have streetlights. Like every time we've driven down that road at nighttime, you can't even like really see the stop sign. You can't even see the building. Like if the sky has a perfect lightness to it, you can barely see like the dark outline of the roof of the building. You know, that's only if the sky, you know, if the moon's out and the moon's putting off a lot of light and it's kind of making the dark sky a little bit more of a darker blue instead of a complete pitch black.
So the vibes where everybody's going, you're going to college, everybody's going home. You're going to do your truck. You're going to make sure that the rust doesn't rust out your whole truck. Davion said he's going to help you with the project. Everybody's cool. No, but you don't get no. Now you have a girlfriend, man. You can pick up on energy. You got to be honest here, right? You have to be honest with me, man.
Yep.
You didn't pick up no energy that Mackenzie was on some shit with them.
See how he's already trying to say, he's shaking his head no before JFK even. How do you know what he's about to ask?
He rambles on like things that, you know, like that make me think it's like nervous deflecting chatter. Like we don't need to know, like the building and the moon. Like what are you talking about? Like,
right. A little bit too much added details, buddy. Like this is not our first rodeo. And I love how JFK's like, you know, be honest with me. And he already starts saying no. Like he didn't even come out and ask the full question.
No, he did it. That's funny, actually.
Just comes across as very like dishonest because it seems like you're sticking to a script before you even know like what
I think he is. I think he is sticking to a script because we hear like the same things almost in every live he does.
Yeah. The sleepover and the coloring books also.
And the shark documentary.
And I'm curious if you know this, like off the top of your head, but so they get in the crash. Are there text messages that show like people reaching out to them? Like, for
Not,
example, like Rosie, "Hey,
no,
girl." Really?
we don't. Well, we didn't
Or
get them.
they didn't give them.
Exactly.
See, I would be so curious to know Bubba's and Rosie's like text message, because like when you hear something through the grapevine, however you hear it, aren't you like gonna go text that person and be like, "What's going on? Please tell me you're okay," or question mark, "Are you there?" You know what I mean?
Yes, I've done that before. Like where I hear something and I'm like, okay, I need to text them or whatever, like right away.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, I feel like everybody here, unfortunately, has probably heard bad news about somebody that have passed or something, and you don't get that text back, obviously, you know? But I'm just curious, like, what digital footprint did they have after all this? You know what I mean? Because he was supposed to meet up with Davion. Like, what is the timeline from when they all found out? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he was supposed to meet up with Davion. Davion went home to sleep a little and shower. That's why he went with Kenzie and Dom.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Like
Huh.
whole entire heartedly, nope. Like,
Or even some girlfriend boyfriend stuff. I mean, like you know, you have a girl, so you know. Like, did you feel like she was like being like you know, something was going on with them, and like you know, she might have not brought it out in front of you, but you know, you could kind of feel the energy, like this is something's up. You didn't feel that at all?
There was no feelings, there was no vibes, no energy that pointed towards that. I mean, I look at it as like if there was something going on that day, you know, maybe she would have distanced herself on the couch when she was sleeping, you know, doing little stuff like that. Those are something that maybe I would have picked up on. But no, there was no animosity, no vibes, no nothing that we heard. They even showed us the videos of them at the zoo earlier that morning, where you can hear like Mackenzie in the background being all happy and giggly and stuff. And like now in current time, we saw those videos again, and like we look back on it, and it's like, okay, they were at the zoo that morning. There's videos, you can hear her in the background being giggly, being happy. They were at a grad party. The girl that hosted that party said there was no fights, that they were all perfectly happy, perfectly fine. They came to us. There was no fights, perfectly fine. Everything. There was nothing that was out of the ordinary. So I don't know. Like, it's a big stretch for me. And it kind
Did you ever hear Dom?
The problem too is like there were early reports that there was some sort of like fight that took place, and Bubba said something about something was weird when they left, or something. Somebody said something was weird when everyone left.
Yeah. And I think it's like I said today too, it's interesting the timestamps from when Dom allegedly texted to when they left. Like there was a couple hours in between that. So I'm just thinking. And then, you know, who woke up and who didn't. That's also been contradicted with one each, like Bubba, what Bubba says and what Rosie said in the documentary. So it's like we don't, it sounds like you guys don't know, or you're hiding what time you guys all actually woke up at. And what happened and who left with who or what time.
And Bubba and Rosie having Mackenzie's back to this day kind of, and you let me know what you think, tells me that if there was something going on as far as like bad vibes, it wasn't between Bubba, Mackenzie, and Rosie, because they wouldn't have each other's back.
Right.
Or it could be, gosh, I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, it's like if something was, why would they stay loyal to her? You know what I mean? If there was a feud that had broken out between them. So then, but also, why would Dom and Davion leave with her as the driver if they were also feuding with her?
I wonder if like she threatened Dom so that he would go with her. I think there's something here. Like, and this is just call me crazy, but I think that there's a missing piece here. Like, I think something happened at that house. There's a text message, a letter, something on a laptop, something on a tablet, something where I think Kenzie saw what Dom was planning to do without her. And I think that has something to do with why Kenzie could have possibly threatened Dom to go with her that morning. Like, I saw this or that or whatever, or I found out. And if you don't come home with me, and like, if you try to break up with me, then I'm going to report you to the police, you know, for all the stuff that she does, the blackmailing.
Yeah, because that's the problem too. Also with, was it Blair whose interview we listened to today on your channel?
Yeah, that was Blair.
see, the problem is like, and I don't care that they're dealing weed. You know what I mean? I don't. It's unfortunate that it seems like in this case, that aspect has made a lot of them like not even the shrooms, like just admit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think it's a big deal either. It's like, whatever. Like, that's not what we're focusing on here. Clearly, that's not what the police focused on either. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And it's like, we're not talking about crack. Like, but the problem is, which I think is like evident in Blair's interview, is like, they don't want to say too much because they have incriminating links to the victims in the case and everyone else in the case.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, like I'm sure the cops already know that you guys have this connection, so they're not honing in on that. You know what I mean? And for Rosie to be like, I've seen the way that cops try and, pin drug dealers on, or paint somebody a drug dealer when they're not, something along those lines. And that was her reason for not cooperating. And it kind of is like, well, what are you afraid of exactly? You know what I mean?
Why would you say that in a Netflix documentary? Like, why would you? What she said was, the police, they just try to pin who the next drug dealer is. And it's like, why are you even, are you? Like, why are you thinking that? Like, why are you connecting that? Why are you saying that on a Netflix documentary of all places?
They don't even realize how cringe and embarrassed they should feel. You know
Well,
what I mean? Like,
it's cringe.
hi, Dolly. He said, hey, did somebody say crack?
Dolly.
Perfect timing. But yeah, I mean, it's like, that's a huge problem in all this, is like the illegal substances that were going in between the people involved in the case has made it so that there's so much more secrecy. And then Bubba comes out and he's like, he doesn't help it at all. You know what I mean?
No, he doesn't at all. It's very sad.
Did you ever hear Dom disrespect her, or did you ever hear her disrespect Dom? Never.
Nope.
There was never no awkward moments, because now you guys are clicking up, and it would be kind of awkward if someone starts. Kev, I gotta mute you up, man. I don't know what's going on over there. Hold on a second. Kev's coming in hot with a lot of background noise. It would be kind of awkward, right? Girlfriend, boyfriend, they start arguing in front of people. Did that ever happen in front of you? I mean, did it ever happen with you and Rosie? Like, when that happens, your girl says something, you're in front of people, you're like, here we go with this.
When Davion lived with me, there was a few times, because like, what could we do when he's in the same, he's in the room next to me, or majority of the time when she would come over, he'd come chill in the room with us. I have this chair, it's still in my garage. It's one of those old people chairs that it sits you all the way up and it leans you all the way back in the laying position. And we call that Dave's chair, because that was the chair in my room that I always play the video game on. But he took it over and would just sleep in there. Like, he would always just sleep in there, even on school nights. Like, he wouldn't sleep in the bed in the other room. He would just sleep in the chair. And so, like, obviously it was inevitable for us not to have disagreements or arguments. And especially at that point in time of mine and Rosie's relationship at that time, we're kind of in a rockier stage than we've ever been in before, specifically in that time period. And so there was a lot more like fights that we had, and there's a lot more disagreements that we had, or times where, I'm just digging myself in a hole because.
See, I hone in on details. I find that interesting that around that time period, him and Rosie were kind of feuding a lot more, whatever he just said. But then the crash happens, and all of us, like, I guess tragedies can bring people closer. Absolutely. But I also think that secrets bring people closer.
And it sounds like it's a little bit of toxic. And remember, Rosie used to say that she wanted her relationship to be like Dom and Kenzie's. She said that before in a jail call. And I find that just toxic. Like, why would you even want to be in a relationship like that?
Yeah, and in this first hour and a half, like when talking about Mackenzie spazzing out and what he saw, and everyone's kind of like, you never saw that, and he's like, well, that's just how girls are. No, that's not how. The text messages and the phone calls and everything we've seen of Kenzie, and he's even talking about the Hulu episode that you need to watch just to get the full context for what Bubba said. He said something about even that was like amped up and dramatized, and it's like, but there were students that knew Kenzie who were previous friends of Kenzie's who basically came out saying that she was a bully and changed when she got to high school, etc. And like he was even trying to say like they weren't being accurate. It's like you paint Mackenzie like this saint. It's too much because it's like too.
We know it's not like realistic.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
And also, I wanted to bring up the phone call. There's a jail phone call. I think I have it on my channel. I don't know if I did it on a live or I have like the actual audio. And in this phone call, which I don't know the date, but I think it was 2022, 2023, Kenzie talks about Rosie and Bubba becoming ops. And I'm wondering what that was about, because that was while she was in jail. So yeah, she's talking to, I think, Faith or Grace, and she's like talking about how she's questioning Rosie's loyalty. And I thought that was interesting too, because I'm like, what could you possibly be like? You're in jail. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're beefing with your best friend? Like, and I'm wondering if that had something to do with some details of the case, or like maybe that they were an op is like
an operative, like
it's the person, it's an op is like slang for like someone who's now against you. Like
opposition, like opponent.
Yes, okay. Like an opponent. It refers to like like enemies. Yeah, it's like an opponent. That's exactly the word for it. It's an op.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. So, and that's interesting that Mackenzie's in jail and she thinks that she's able to just like talk. But this could also just be Mackenzie being her crazy self. But it's like, you're not in the position to start losing friends. You're in jail.
Exactly. And, or my thought was, what is she fearing that Rosie and Bubba could like say or do? Like, what are you tripping about in jail so hard?
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Roxanne's here. She loves when I have Melly on.
Hi, Roxanne.
Always letting me know. I like Melly. I'm like, yes, yeah. I'm gonna see if she'll come on again for you.
I love that.
I'm saying stupid stuff, and Davion would always butt in and just be like, "Landon, stop talking, stop talking." You know what I mean? He'd always say something like that. And
if Davion said that to Mackenzie or something, or to Dom, would that do you think their reaction would be different than yours, knowing them?
No, I think that if it came out in the sense of like, I guess it depends on like the context and like how bad the fight is. I guess like if it's a fight to the point where like, you know, she's about to speed 90 miles per hour into a wall, I would think that he would kind of be a little more like, hey, calm the fuck down, you know, like kind of being.
No, but what I'm saying is, say they're arguing in the car. I'm drop Davian off or something like that, or Dom says something. They just woke up. It's 5:30 in the morning. It's been a long day. They start snapping at each other. Davion says, "Hey, calm down, guys." Now it kind of puts gasoline on this situation. It's awkward, an awkward moment. You know?
Yeah, I can see.
Do you see like the reaction? Do you think the reaction would be different with Mackenzie? You know, would they take his word, or would they feel a certain way? Like, do you think that could trigger something? Because and make it worse.
I honestly can't answer that. I don't know, like, because I don't know their dynamic when they were fighting. Like I said, we've never seen them fight, so I don't really know their dynamic.
So let's stay right there.
Who gets more agitated or not?
Great, and I appreciate that answer. And I got one more thing on this because I'm not going to hold you right there. With that line of questioning, what I'll say is this: when they came around, were you ever like, shit, here they come? Like, we don't know what we're going to get. They're going to be pissed at each other, or is it going to be love? I mean, was it was it like a reaction? Like, because I have friends, and I'm gonna speak from experience. I had friends where they come rolling up with their girlfriend. It's kind of like you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know if you're gonna get the good version of them or the bad version. Was it like that with you, or was it you're saying it was always good? It was never bad?
Yeah, no, I never looked at them that way. I never saw that side of them. If there was that side, like I said, no, like, it was never a time where I'm like, oh, they're gonna be fighting today, or they're gonna be in a bad mood. Like, they were always the same. Their personalities, the way that they acted, were always the exact same every single time that I saw them.
Cool.
So yeah.
I'm gonna play some more of this video right here. Check it out.
We really wanted to talk to Mackenzie about what took place inside that car. It hit.
There were so many people there, and so many people were like asking so many questions to all of us because they're like.
We really wanted to talk to Mackenzie.
So this is Mackenzie, all beat up in the hospital. The accident happened. You find
Look at Bubba taking a swig of water. That's the other thing is people's mouths get very dry the more that they got to continue on talking and lying. He's got to get his swig of, water before he's got to defend Rosie here.
This is interesting. He says he doesn't know them for fighting, which fair. Maybe Mackenzie and Dom didn't always fight in front of Rosie and Bubba, but we know she would tell Rosie about them fights. And I can only assume that Rosie would maybe tell Bubba. I could maybe accept that maybe he didn't see them fight all the time, but I don't necessarily believe that's 100% accurate.
Right. I mean, group friends, and he can't have it both ways. He paints it as they were so close in the months leading up, but then also like, well, we didn't see, like paints it as if like there's a possibility they didn't know about all the fighting and stuff,
They would go to like parties. In the text message, they talk about Kenzie wanting to leave a party because her and Dom are fighting because Dom wasn't standing next to her. Like they would have those kind of fights at parties. So Bubba and Rosie saw some fights for sure.
And the thing too is the Netflix documentary, I mean, it says before the crash, relationship problems between Mackenzie and her boyfriend Dom had what witnesses described as a volatile on and off relationship. Prosecutors argued she was upset over the possibility of losing him. So his narrative here is kind of going against even what they kind of painted in the Netflix documentary that he participated in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Find out Dawn passed away. You find out Davion's gone. Right? She's all beat up. You have no idea what happened, right? You're thinking the worst, right? It was an accident. When you seen her in this state, what was your first reaction? And what was your reaction when you found out you lost 2 of your friends? Like, how was you feeling at that time?
So I'll break it down into 2 separate questions, I guess. But so when I found out about Dave and Dom passing, I mean, I was hysterical. I called Rosie instantly, hysterical. I ended up dropping everything I was doing in that moment and getting in my mom's car and driving to my football buddy's house, my buddy EJ. And a bunch of us football buddies were there processing everything. We spoke with Define and got confirmation that Davion had passed and Dominic had passed. And so then after that, I ended up going back to Paul's house. Me and Rosie ended up meeting back at Paul's house.
That's also interesting. So you go back to Paul's house?
And what time and where was Rosie at that time?
Right. And where was Rosie when you went to the football people's house?
And why back to Paul's? Like if Paul's parents were going to come back, why would they go back and go to Paul's again? That confuses me.
It's like, if I'm hearing that, I'm spending the whole day with my significant other, but he's in that football realm. So I kind of am like, okay, that makes sense, especially because Davion was his football mate. You know what I mean? But then I'm just like, why and how does Paul come back in the picture? It's almost like the Karen Reed case where they all meet at the Brian Albert's house in the morning.
Yes.
And then after they speak with Higgins, all of a sudden they're saying that they heard Karen Reed say, I hit him.
Mm-hmm.
They get Jen McCabe to call the cops back up after she already gave her first statement. Like now, so they take care of things. And then the first thing him and Rosie do, instead of just like being together that night, like crying together, whatever, they go to Paul's house.
Mm-hmm.
The heck?
But Paul was asleep.
Yeah, but that's the thing too that makes it odd is like you guys have made it seem that Paul was just some like fly on the wall that night, like in and out of the room, even a fly.
In the document we read today, Paul said he didn't wake up until 8 or 10 a.m. in the morning. I think it was 10 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
So what the heck?
The interview room, the Chris McDonough. So he's retired homicide detective. He says something that stuck with me always, like for years when he covered the Summer Wells case, because the grandma in that took a nap at one point, like right when Summer goes missing, basically. Yeah. And he said in all his years working cases, sleeping is always the go-to like alibi. It's an easy thing to just be like, I was asleep, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's used all the time in crimes with people who are witnesses or, might know more about something, or even the suspects. Like, it's always a go-to for people who are just that had more involvement or know more. I'm just saying, like, maybe he was asleep, because again, this whole thing kind of happened very early morning, and they don't even get there until Bubba said 11:30. Rosie in the Netflix thing said midnight. So like things are already shifted to the late evening, like nighttime, like early mornings anyways. So
Mhm.
is it possible Paul was asleep? It's possible. Is it probable with everything going on? And like, is it okay if we bring shrooms over? And it was graduating weekend, or the parties going on. Like, I don't know.
Listen, if we're having a party at my house and we're doing stuff, I ain't going to sleep unless I'm the one participating or something. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm drunk, blacked out, and I fall asleep, okay. But like I guess because they're teenagers, maybe they don't think about it this way. But like even so, when my parents would go out of town in high school and stuff, like I would have parties.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
I would make sure that if I was gonna be partying, that at least I had one of my friends or my older friends or like a cousin or something that could kind of be like not the babysitter.
yeah. I mean, that's why I never had parties at my house, because I'm not going to be responsible for the whole house the whole evening. You can't control what partying people are going to do in your house, your parents' house, So it's like,
Exactly.
and actually Bubba, I think in the first hour and a half that we went through last week, I think he said something about how Paul was like, which contradicted his other statements and even Paul's, I guess, that he was kind of coming down periodically. I swear that would have to be something that I would have to look into again, but I swear Bubba stated like he made it seem like Paul was there at times, like, and it's like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, thank you, Chucks, for gifting a membership, and congratulations to that recipient. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, take what you will from that whole tidbit that Chris McDonough said. I know some people don't like him or whatever, but that to me just always stuck with me as far as like an investigative point of view. Like, with people saying that they fell asleep. And in this instance, that whole statement has changed numerous times too. And it's like, why would he have people over and then just go to sleep?
Mhm. Exactly.
Coincidentally, I guess some girl had gotten into an accident that same morning and was in the ICU next to Mackenzie, and unfortunately,
Wow.
she passed.
That's
so,
crazy.
So we heard that there was a young girl that passed in the hospital, and everyone just assumed it was Mackenzie. And everyone was posting on their Snapchat stories, "R.I.P. Mackenzie, Dave, and Dom." Like,
Really?
yeah, blessed souls. And then we actually ended up hitting up. I'll say her first name. Her name's Megan, but we actually ended up hitting her up because we knew that was one of Mackenzie's old best friends, and that actually Mackenzie's mom and her mom were friends, and we're still friends. If I'm not mistaken, at that time we thought that they were still friends. So we ended up hitting her up to ask her, and she didn't know anything. And then eventually we found out that it was just only Dave and Dom through social media and through other people asking other people, and I guess it's just getting around that we end up finding out Mackenzie was alive. And so
See, this is all weird too, if you think about the rumor that they were at the scene, because is it possible they saw them in the car and were like, they're not here anymore? You know what I mean? Or there's nothing we can do. And then now they're like scrambling, because you could look at this both ways. They're scrambling because they're like, well, yeah, that's their friends. They want to know who lived and who didn't. Or is it because they saw something and they were like trying to figure out like what had happened after what
Yes.
they had witnessed, or they were there for, or something, you know what I mean?
This whole thing about another girl who was in the ICU, that is only said in this interview with Bubba. We have not heard that or seen that anywhere else. So you're right. Did they see it and did they go and let it out?
Yeah,
The
and like, how are
information?
they hearing about, like, I guess that stuff kind of travels, especially like, think about it too, graduation parties, these, unfortunately, like starting proms all the way through the summer with graduation parties, like these accidents are kind of common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's like that news, I guess, would travel fast, but it's also like interesting how closely they were like, I don't know, because you really could argue like, well, that's their friends. Of course they want to know like what happened, but it's like, I don't know. you can look at this numerous ways, and he never really even came out denying that Rosie was there. He just went into this tangent about how she was thinking about college and all this stuff, and she has to drive near that area to get her house. That's what he said.
But I thought that he says about this whole another girl, everyone thought it was her. Then we verified with Davion's sister that it was them who had passed and not Kenzie. But then it's like, I thought they found out from Life 360. I thought that one of their friends told them too. And I'm wondering about the Life 360. Something about the Life 360 sounds suspicious to me. I don't know why. They relying so heavily on the Life 360, but I guess it makes sense, right? If their GPS location was being tracked on there. But I think it's possible that they could have seen something, or maybe driven by and assumed. But why wouldn't you stop if you notice your friend's car?
But maybe they did stop and they thought, we're not going to call 911 because I don't think there's any survivors. So then that explains why they were doing so much investigation work. Like, wait, who survived, or were they? I don't know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the other thing. By Rosie not cooperating with police, it has left the door open for all types of speculation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You can't attach yourself to this case as much as she has on Netflix and on her own social media, like making stories, commenting about her part in the Netflix and all this stuff. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, she's very controlled in her statements. Like, she will only do it on her own platforms. And, it's like, I don't know.
Or I was thinking that maybe they didn't report it or call the police because maybe they were tripping. Or maybe they had something on them, or maybe they were scared of police getting involved too. Like,
yeah,
I could see that being scared of like,
definitely.
we're just at a party or whatever. And
yeah, I have nothing to do with this crash, but I'm going to get brought into this, and I'm like not in that state to do that right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also when we were talking about in your stream about the I love you text messages that were going around, it'd be interesting to create like a timeline of like each I love you text that went out at each time. But I think that could have a lot to do with just tripping in general.
Yeah, I think so too, to be honest. I could see both. I could see he's tripping and texting, but I could also see that Kenzie threatened him. I could see that.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I like to do too, is like, let's have an investigation board, like the one pictured behind us on the screen, and keep things up there as possibilities, and I think that kind of gets us working through like what is more likely to have taken place before they left Paul's house. And Paul's involvement, I think, is sort of, but he has never called Mackenzie or anything like that, right? Like in the phone calls?
No. Mm-mm. It's just Phil, Rosie, Faith, and a couple of the other girls and her mom that's talked to her in the jail calls.
Interesting.
So I can't exactly remember when the first time we saw Mackenzie was after the accident. I would say we didn't see any pictures of her. She didn't post anything online to where we could see what condition she was in.
Did you see it like this?
Yeah, we saw her like that in the hospital, but I don't really know, like, where is that in the hospital? Where is that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's in the hospital. I know it's in the documentary.
That to me seems like it might be like a rehab or something. I don't know. Because like when she was in the hospital, she did not sit up at all except going in a wheelchair. I'd never seen, like, every time I saw her in the hospital, she was always laying down in her bed. But so yeah.
So you think she's dead? You think she's dead? Then you find out she's alive. What was that like?
For me, it really didn't mean nothing. Like, she's not my friend. Like, I always tell everyone, this might sound like disrespectful.
Who, Mackenzie?
Yeah, like, this might sound like cold-hearted in a way.
Shit.
And I've told this to Mackenzie. I've told this to the documentary. I've told this to her parents. And like, my whole thing is, like, if she were to lose her life in that accident, or it came out that there was cold, hard, solid proof that she's this crazy lunatic monster that would just kill these two boys in cold blood, and like she would have gotten locked up for life without parole, not even a 15-year, like even if she got 30 years, it wouldn't mean a fucking thing to me, man. Like, it wouldn't. Like, I told her.
So then why, after all this time, are you guys still friends with her?
Exactly. I thought this was so weird to say and suspect. I'm like, what do you mean you don't care about her? Then why are you like up here defending her?
Okay, so let's say Bubba's lying and everything he says, the truth is actually the opposite of what he says. He said that when he found out that she was actually alive and that she wasn't that girl in the ICU, that like they were trying to figure out if she was dead, you know what I mean? And then they find out she's alive and he didn't really care. It meant nothing. So let's say that the opposite of that is the truth. So he found out she's alive and it did mean something because why? Because you at the scene and you thought like they had all perished and now you found out the truth and she's alive and not, but you're going to play it off like I didn't really care.
Yeah. This part made me uncomfortable. I'm like, what the?
And not only that, your girlfriend is still attaching herself so closely to her. How does Rosie feel about you not giving a crap if Mackenzie lived or died?
Exactly.
Like, it's just kind of strange. Hi, Picasso Chad. Good to see you. I don't know. And again, some of the things we're just working out our own thought process of what took place that night because I just, like I said, I don't think that we've been told the truth. And Netflix and Hulu, probably not in that A&E one that you watched. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna question things. I might not have the same opinion on the next deep dive or whatever, you know. But let's say that it was significant to him to find out, like, well, damn, like she lived.
Exactly. Exactly.
If she died, you wouldn't have cared. You said,
That's not like, I was never really her friend. Like
but you knew Mackenzie longer than you knew Davion, and
no, I knew Davion longer.
I mean,
knew
more than
Mackenzie
Dom.
longer than Dom, yeah.
Yeah. So what about Dom? Did you care? Did you care if Dom died? I mean, what if Dom died?
No, like when it came to like Dom and Kenzie specifically, like I always looked at Kenzie like, oh, that's my boy's girl. Like, yeah, we had that little time in middle school.
It was your boy's girl.
Yeah, and like so I never really like would talk to her. I wouldn't really sit there and have a conversation with her. Like it was always like I don't know.
But you just met Dom too.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I knew Mackenzie in middle school from having that class with her. I had that class with her. After that year was over, all the way up until senior year, all the way up until these moments that we're talking about, I never shared a single word with her. Never talked to her, nothing. Not until senior year when, she was having the New Year's parties and we would sometimes attend those at Dom's house. One of them was when the girls fought on the stairs. But that whole 4-year period of high school, I wasn't close with her. I didn't know her. I didn't talk to her.
But your girl got close with her though.
Senior year though, not throughout high school. Because here's the thing, Mackenzie didn't attend high school like that. Sophomore and junior year, she wasn't there in person. So it wasn't like we could bond in school and we weren't hanging out outside of school, So we just never had a friendship or any type of relationship at that time. It was really more towards senior year. Like it was completely in senior year is when Mackenzie and Rosie started talking. And then once they started hanging out on the regular, that's when me and Dom started hanging out on the regular. And like from that point on, like I always looked at Kenzie like, oh, that's Dom's girl. I don't really talk to her. I don't really like.
What you said was that's my boy's girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about Dom? If he passed, was that a concern?
Yeah. No, like I look at him like a genuine friend. Like I said,
but not Mackenzie.
There was never times where like me and Mackenzie would be sitting there talking. Like if we were hanging out, I was always interacting.
So let me get this straight. So you met Mackenzie's parents, but you never met Dom's parents.
Nope.
You've been over Mackenzie's house. You've been over Mackenzie's house, but you've never been over Dom's house.
We've been over. He lived separately from his parents.
That was also something that he told in that first hour and a half that like he spoke with Mackenzie's family and got close with them, but didn't talk to Dom or Davion's family like after their deaths.
I know.
And then he says something like excusing it, like, well, they didn't reach out to him or something like that. And it's like, they're the ones grieving.
And that's your so-called best football friend buddy, like Davion. You would think,
Yeah, exactly.
He would reach out for sure.
Why go through this first 2 hours defending her if you didn't give a crap if she lived or died that day? It's like the contradiction is wild.
Well, I'm saying, but you never went over to his parents' house. You ever meet his grandmother or anything like that?
Nope.
But you're more cool with Dom than you were with Mackenzie.
Yeah. I mean, even when we would go to Kenzie's house, it's not like I was sitting there building like a relationship with her parents. Like, yeah, we've met, we've talked. we talked briefly when we were over there and stuff. Like, it wasn't like she was hanging out with us, you know, like we were doing our own thing and she'd periodically check in. But yeah, no, like I would say like the only difference was I met her parents, but no, I never looked at Kenzie as my friend. I never looked at her as someone that like I would consciously just go out my way and hang out with. You know what I mean? Like if she was there or not, it would have made a difference.
So if Dom snapped on Mackenzie, would you tell us the truth to tell us that Dom was snappy on Mackenzie, or would you have Dom's back?
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. You want to know anything about Andy's personalities, I can tell you to the best of my capability. I'm not like,
no, I appreciate it.
I know there's certain information, certain people in this situation would feel ashamed about saying, but I don't really have any information like that. Like drug usage, you know, some people might be ashamed that it's coming out about their child or about their friend or about a loved one, but I don't feel the same way. I feel as if like those were the genuine moments we shared. And if people want to know more about those, then I'll share them, you know?
So let me ask you this. You just said that there was a rumor. So the same day a girl gets in a car accident, the same day that this tragedy happens, there's another tragedy. A young girl passes away. You think it's Kenzie. Then you find out Kenzie's alive. And you just told me you really didn't give a fuck.
And then like, at that point in time, her being alive or her passing away wasn't any of my concern. It was the fact that I have two friends that passed away, you know?
All right.
That's really what affected me the most, I'd say. The reason why I sit here and I stand in the position that I stand and I'm so passionate about it is that I simply just don't believe the story that we were told in court is factually true at all.
And the irony behind that is you can have that opinion. We can dig deeper on that opinion, but your girlfriend actually kind of adds to the mystery and to the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody brought up a good point. So he didn't have much contact with Dom and Davion's family. But then something you read today said that Bubba was talking about going over to go through Davion's room to kind of get closure.
Yes, he did.
So does that mean that they didn't really talk until he like reached out and said he wanted to do that?
I'm assuming could have been what happened, but I thought that whole thing about going in closure is so odd.
And isn't it interesting that he didn't tell JFK that aspect? He just told JFK that like, yeah, you know, I just didn't really talk to them after. He never said like, oh, I had this conversation about, you know, going over there and having closure going through his room.
Exactly. He left that out. It's like selective what he wants to share, which is why it makes everything even more questionable.
And it's like, that's the perfect detail to stay consistent and to even tell Netflix about, you know, like I reached out to Davion's family because I was in such deep grief that I thought part of the healing process would help if I went over in Davion's room and if I could just feel close to him by doing that. But like we only found that out through, what was that? A police report that you read?
Yeah, it's the main detective investigative report.
Like that is a detail that, you know, is strange that he just stops talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with Mackenzie talking to, which I think is so out of line, you know, with Dom's mother, like, can you get me in the house or can you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Her trying to get, that looks way nefarious, right? So when we look at Mackenzie trying to get into Dom's house, we're like, oh, that's sketchy. Why the hell is she doing that? But then it's the same thing with Bubba.
Yeah,
So
it is.
are we going to think that that's not sketchy because it's Bubba and he's not behind bars? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, no, like your gut is going to tell you that that's kind of strange. And now you're not even telling anybody about that. We just found it out because Melly's reading the police reports.
I know. I totally forgot about that too. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even because I hadn't read this report in a while. And so I'm like, closure. Go through Davion's room. That's like really personal.
It is.
So I don't know about that.
That would be like a best friend, like for years, or like a boyfriend or girlfriend type thing. Like that's some deep grief but again, everyone grieves differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Everyone does.
But still, it's noteworthy because if we're going to paint Mackenzie as having a nefarious reason for going into Dom's house, like to be fair, and that's all I want to do, and I know that's what you want to do when you're looking at this case, is like we want to take out our emotions, even our hatred for Mackenzie, because the way that the text messages paint her, the way that the video painted her that was shown in court that Dom was taking, you know what I mean? Like that, we see that as Mackenzie, but we have to look at everybody who were witnesses that night. And Bubba is a witness. Rosie is a witness. So everything that they did and every statement that they made, like we're going over with a fine tooth comb, like to try and understand what the heck happened.
Exactly.
And there is aspects of what he talks about, like in the investigation, that he finds shady, like there's so much hearsay, which is a problem. Like, let's face it, like when we're looking at true crime, we like to see solid evidence, there is a lot of, you have to admit, people who are studying this case, there's a lot of hearsay in this that that it leaves room for us to kind of be like, well, is that true though? So
Yeah, exactly.
We're almost there, brother. We're almost there. And I appreciate your honesty. Let's get into a little bit more of the video, because some people didn't see the documentary. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Talk to Mackenzie about what took place inside that night. It hit.
There were so many people there, and so many people were like asking so many questions to all of us because they're like, you were with them, what were you guys doing? What did they take? They were on something. They didn't even give us a second to process what had just happened.
Okay, John was on this app. Davion was on his phone at 5:35. Okay, and it says that they crashed at 5:36.
So that's Tyler.
Yeah.
And so what's Tyler's take on everything now? I
don't want to talk to him.
Why don't you talk to him? But I'm saying, what side is he on? Does he think that Mackenzie's a stone cold killer? Does he think that, do you know?
The most that I know of anything of that sort is we have someone in our life that is personally close to us that is still like friends with a lot of those people. And he always tells us that everyone knows she didn't do it on purpose, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact that she took she was responsible for the loss of 2 lives.
That's you can't disagree with that, right? I mean, that's without a shadow of a doubt.
No, without a doubt. Yeah, no, that's factually correct. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you don't talk to him no more.
I mean, I never really was close with him. So David had 3 friend groups, right? He had his football friend group. He had us, like with Dom and Kenzie, that was like his newest friend group. And then he had like that friend group where it was Tyler, Housney, Tyler Proctor, and like a handful of other kids that, I ain't gonna say and name all the names off, but they got a whole handful of other kids. So he was part of 3 different friend groups. That friend group in particular was the one that had the Life 360 with each other and all that stuff. We weren't really intertwined with that at all. Okay. Like I've been to parties with all those kids. I've hung out with all those kids before, and that friend group of Davion's, I have a video of we're in one of those people's garage, and he's freestyling with the guy that owns the house and stuff. But so I've been around all this friend groups. Like I know of these kids. I've talked to them. I've shared stories with them. We talked after the accident, but never really enough to know what everyone's final opinions were. Not long enough to know everyone's final opinions and what their stance is at the end of the day.
Okay.
So Tyler took part in the Netflix documentary? Or are they just playing a clip of like
they're playing a clip. Tyler was in the A&E one, I think, from what I saw, but I didn't see him in the Netflix one.
Okay, I'm curious, like, is he not friends with him anymore because he thinks Mackenzie's guilty?
I'm curious about that friendship too. I am.
Before that, they went to a little gathering or party. Graduation party. Yeah. They might have been on psychedelic. The night before. Maybe they were on.
You know this kid?
Yeah, that's the kid that was I explaining to you how when I first saw Davion and Dom's parents, there was a kid there that was, I don't know if that was you that I was explaining that to. I think that was someone else. But no, he was so passionate at the fact that Mackenzie and Dom would fight, and that Mackenzie and Dom were big drug users, so they had to be on some form of drugs. Like he was saying that as soon as we saw him, after he was the first.
Bubba, when Mackenzie went to the hospital, she had a scale and what was it? Only like 0.8 of mushrooms.
No, it was a lot of mushrooms. I think it was like 6.91
grams.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, how is she? Obviously, she didn't hide it very well, but the whole tucked in her waistband, we could go on a whole live about. I know that we've discussed the oddity
Yes.
of that, but like here, Bubba acting like, the way that he painted, it's like she was found with shrooms on her. So this
Yes.
idea that like, and why is this reminds me so much of like the Watts case when Nicole Kessinger and her father were annoyed that Nicole Atkinson showed up and realized that Shanann wasn't home. In their police interviews, they were annoyed. You could sense it. And they were like, why was she even there type of talk. Even Chris Watts said something like, I didn't know why she was at my front door. Like, why was she there? Like they were annoyed that their plans were falling apart. And I'm getting that same vibe from Bubba here, that he's annoyed that those two guys participated in the investigation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why are you mad at that? You just were talking about grieving your friends. Like you should want people to come forward with information that they know. And it's common knowledge that there was drugs in that vehicle.
Well, and these guys that he's all upset about, they are not liked by the Shirillas. So then I'm thinking, okay, does that influence Bubba as well?
Yeah.
Kid that I saw at the crash site, and he's over there telling Rosie's mom.
Did he hang out though? Did he ever hang out with him?
No, I've never hung.
Did he-
No, from
You
the time
never
that-
did, but did he ever hang out with him in the past?
So I know Dominic, when we asked Dominic about him in the car one time, he said some pretty, I guess you could say nasty things. He did not like him. He does not like Husni. I think that they used to be friends because they're in the same grade. So I would assume at some point down the line, they were part of the same friend group and knew each other. But I know Davion was a little bit closer with Husni. They worked at multiple jobs together. I know I worked at Five Guys with him. That was the first job that I worked at with Davion, and I also worked with Husni there. It got to the point actually where they couldn't work on the same shift because they'd always nitpick at each other.
This guy right here?
Yeah, him and David always nitpick at each other.
What's his name? What's his name?
Husni.
Husni?
Yeah.
So Husni is telling tales, you're saying?
Yeah, like 100%. Like
Okay.
the only factual, credible information he went into the police station at that moment with was the Life 360. The fact that they had screenshots and they were in the Life 360, that to me, that's the only reason why they should have walked in that police station. Any other reason, I don't see as relevant to why that car crashed. They weren't.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's ridiculous. Like the Life 360 is what they base their investigation off of.
Right. And interesting, he's irritated by these people who brought that information forward.
Yeah.
Like it's like he would have been much happier if they didn't, which, in the case that has so much hearsay, the Life 360 was something that was like digital. You could still say that it's circumstantial possibly, but like that showed her going at 90 miles per hour in like the locations,
Exactly. Like, I don't know why he's acting like it wasn't important.
Yeah, that's weird.
Close with any of these people at the time of the incident. I know Davion and Husni were close.
Do you think you're making yourself too close to it though? Like, because you just started hanging with him in May, right? And it happens in July, but you wasn't hanging with him in April, right?
Mhm.
March, Christmas. What if he spent a 3-month period or a 2-month period with them?
Well,
How can you dismiss his experience?
I know
That's
the
a question.
relationship. I know the relationship he shared with Davion to a T. Like I know from when they first started working together until they stopped being friends. I was involved with all of that. Him with Dom though, I've never heard of them hanging out. I don't think Dom's ever said that he was his friend. Like I said, when we mentioned Husni, he didn't really have anything nice to say about him.
So why would Husni say that?
And now he's gonna badmouth these kids through Dom, who's not here.
Exactly. I think this is so disgusting what he's doing right now. It is. It's cringe.
And what do you think Dom honestly would say, knowing that this Life 360 was vital in convicting the driver here who killed him? Like, you think Dom's gonna say, like, I don't have anything nice to say about this guy. Like, no, he's his whatever you want to think, his soul, whatever. Like, I don't think that he would have problems with those kids coming forward with the Life 360 stuff.
I don't think so either.
But the way he just spoke for Dom, like, oh, he didn't really have much nice things to say about it. It's like, not only is that a jab at the guy who might see that and be hurt by that, like, why are we doing that?
And Bubba wasn't even that good of friends to Dom to even try to speak on him when he's not here on that level. Like, Bubba, you need to back up. Like,
yeah, this is just, it's over the top cringe. Like, there's got to be a motivation behind them to be that cruel in a sense. Like, because if that kid sees this interview, he's going to be like, wait, Dom didn't have anything nice to say about me, you know?
Yeah,
Terrible.
exactly.
And plus, what if that's not even true? And plus, even if it was true, you think Dom appreciates you saying that?
Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That about Mackenzie?
Don't know.
You don't know? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Thanks for your honesty, brother.
Yep.
The psychedelics, and she hit the gas. All right, guys, they may be shot and
Now, who's this dude? Let's listen to what he says first. Let's listen to what he says first.
after they've gotten over arguing and everything like that, she was like, either buy me something or shut the fuck up. She fully threatened and was disrespectful to Dom in my eyes. Why did Dom put up with this? Do you know? I've personally been told that she did voodoo on him. I mean,
now what's up with that? That's
this
guy,
wild thing to walk into a police station and say.
I mean, this is what he said. Who's that kid, man? Let's get a make on his license plate. What's his name?
So his name's Tyler Proctor. Actually, if you go look at the case,
Tyler Proctor.
Isn't that her ex-boyfriend?
If you go look at the case files, his mom supposedly was one of the citizens that stepped up to provide information to the police. There's also pictures of him holding up pounds of weed in the case files. I know he was a drug dealer at that time. I don't know if he is anymore. His name was.
Bubba's got no problem dragging anybody and putting anybody on blast. He was holding up pounds of wheat. What does that have to do with him giving information about Mackenzie? Which I know the audio sucked in that interview, but what he had to say was kind of interesting. You know, like Mackenzie was messing around with both of them at the same time.
Yes, exactly. We covered this part today. His mom, the part in the documents, his mom reporting Kenzie to the police, or what she knew about Kenzie. Bubba's being such a hater. He's being such a hater.
It's over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Rico, but yeah, no. So he was basically a subdivision below Dom. And I remember the one time we were driving with Dom, and I was telling him, Dom was like, who do you get your weed off of now? And I was like, well, I get it off of this dude. But then from time to time, since Davion's living with me, and Davion was cool with Tyler Proctor. Tyler was living with this kid named Joey at the time that was my neighbor, essentially. So Davion would always go over there and hang out, and I'd always go pick him up, or I'd go over there, stop over there and smoke with all of them, and then we'd go home. So like I was hanging out with these kids. Like I remember when we went down to a Marietta visit, me and my parents came back, and Davion had Tyler and a bunch of other kids in the house, and they're all sitting there playing the video game. But so like we were mutual friends at the time. But when I was talking to Dom, I would tell him how from time to time Davion will bring home, a little 3.5 or 2.5 from Tyler after hanging out with him.
Why don't you explain what that is? My audience don't know what a little 3.5, 2.5 is. Break that down.
So a little eighth, like an eighth of weed, 3.5 grams, 2.5 grams of weed. You'd always bring it home just enough to put into a blunt or to put into a joint, and we'd smoke it before we go to bed. And I remember telling Dom that, and I was like, yeah, from time to time I get off of Tyler Proctor, and he looked back at it and he goes, don't buy from that pussy. Don't buy from him. And I was like, okay.
So Dom didn't like this dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And he doesn't stop. He's got to give the full context of what allegedly Dom said.
And like you said, we know Dom and him didn't get along. They both dated Kenzie. Like, duh, Bubba, how would you feel if, you were having to be put in the same room with Rosie's ex or whatnot?
And let's say that it's true that he said that, like Dom said that, like anybody would look at that and be like, well, yeah, that's because it could be taking away business from Dom if those rumors are true, which it seems like they were true. He was dealing weed. You know what I mean? It seems like everyone's pretty much admitted to that. So if he said, don't buy from that pussy, blah, 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 it's like, well, he wants you to buy from him, but Bubba like is saying it on blast in just a hurtful, hateful way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is.
From my knowledge, yeah. But
so what's his relationship with Mackenzie? He used to be with Mackenzie?
Yeah, they dated for like a week, I think. And back.
But when did they date? I'm just saying, like, but wasn't she with Dom at the time? What was it during the breakup or something?
Literally like the same time period. Like she dated him for a week, and then like a month later was dating Dom, and then dated Dom since.
So he's just a hater?
I mean, he was friends. He was good friends with Davion. I think he knew Kenzie and Dom decently well. I think he knew Kenzie decently.
But listen to what he said right here. He said this.
This was after they'd gotten over arguing and everything like that. She was like, either buy me something or shut the fuck up. She fully threatened and was disrespectful to Dom in my eyes.
Now, this is what he said he sees.
Yeah.
You
I would
never
say
seen that? You never seen none of that?
at the time, like firsthand with my two eyes, no. But after
But do you
the
think
case,
that she's capable of being like that?
yeah, I feel like any woman's capable of being like that.
Okay.
Now, after the fact, though, after 30,
And like the way that he tries to normalize Mackenzie's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ex-boyfriend there in the interview is saying it as like this was red flag. She would act this way. Like, how come he doesn't normalize it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
1,000 text messages have been leaked, videos that leaked, but put out there, videos have been put out there. I look at it like this now. I look at it as like, yes, they had a toxic relationship, but I never once can remember or recollect in a text message where she threatened like bodily harm. It was always her threatening police. It was always her threatening him.
Do you agree with that? Because you've read them more than anybody.
She did threaten him with police, but she would threaten to. I don't think she would threaten him. Yeah, I think a few times she would have said something like, I will beat your ass. But then again, that could just be a figure of speech. But she would threaten with police. She would threaten with going to his mom. She would threaten with like people that he wasn't really cool with. And then, so I don't know. I still feel like Bubba sometimes is wrong here. Like, I think
But not-
Kenzie she would get physical with him as in like push him around, but I don't think she ever like slapped him or pulled his hair or anything like that. But then again, we don't know the truth about everything. Like, we don't have all of the text messages. Those are just from a few years.
Mhm.
But I don't know where Bubba thinks he's getting all of this from, because he wasn't that good of friends with Kenzie until recently because of and Dom.
Right. And the other thing too is like a lot of times there isn't going to be a female who's like going to threaten physical, because that's not really how even toxic women, like, yes, I'm sure there were like ones that would send a text saying, I'm going to beat your ass if you.
Yeah.
But really, like the majority, I think, of the toxicity, like for women, isn't going to be like physical threats. So for him to kind of throw it in there, like there weren't physical threats, like that doesn't really mean that she wasn't capable of this.
No, because she was definitely abusing him mentally and emotionally. Like, that is facts, 100%. There is so many vile things she said to him, especially with the whole, oh, you're gay with your friends after what Dom had experienced. Like, there's so much vileness in her text messages. Bubba, that's what's concerning about him here. You mentioned that. That's a good point. That it's like, wait, you think that's normal? Like, she didn't put his hands on him. It's like, that's not the only, you're like missing half your life here. Like, there's emotional abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse. Like, Bubba, you're missing some.
Like Jodi Arias' case. I know you've studied that. There wasn't a trail of emails of her threatening physical harm on. Oh gosh, I always forget the victim's name. Is it Jason? No,
it's Travis.
Why do I always? I swear to God, Molly, only with that case, I always forget his name. I feel terrible. Travis.
Yeah.
His last name
Alexander.
Alexander. Okay, that's why I always think his first name's Alex. Okay. But there wasn't like a trail of her threatening physical harm on him either, and she ended up stabbing and shooting him.
Exactly.
Like that's not really the paper trail, if you will, of what you'll find with somebody who. And the thing too that you read through today in your live stream about her medical condition, that disruptive mood.
DMDD.
DNDD.
Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder.
That was very compelling in a sense of like, is somebody capable of driving themselves into a wall too? Because a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, like she wants to harm him because he wants to leave her. Okay, but she was in the car too. Who would do that? Well, I think that condition.
Yes. Thank you. It's not normal for someone to want to unalive themselves driving into 100 miles per hour into a building. Like, that's not normal. You know what I mean? That's like, she was thinking she was going to die too.
And one of the side effects was like not being able to rationally make decisions or something. Like, listen, guys, if you didn't see the string, check it out on Melly's channel. But disruptive mood dysregulation disorder is a childhood mental health condition characterized by severe chronic irritability and frequent intense temper outbursts. It says it primarily affects youth age 6 to 18, and it causes significant impairment at home, in school, and with peers. And they went into more detail on the documents that you read, but basically it's like, the severe outbursts, like all this stuff. And it's like, that adds a new layer to, could she have done this? Why would she leave herself in the car if she was mad at him because he was going to leave her? It kind of, I don't know. That was very compelling in the argument that like, this was not an accident. This was done on purpose.
And that's the teacher. The teacher, I have the document pulled up. It says she showed low tolerance to irritation, difficulty making decisions, verbal or physically aggressive outbursts, tearfulness, withdrawn behaviors, freezes up when called on in class, avoidance behaviors, easily frustrated, distracted, inability to focus, racing thoughts, and heart racing. Like the teacher noticed that.
Yeah, that is very noteworthy in the full picture of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't discussed in Netflix.
No.
And those documents are straight from the trial. They're
the main detective, Hazu, he was the lead detective.
Wow. So he had to get HIPAA subpoena.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we already knew through, I think it was Dom's brother's police interview where he talks about how Mackenzie had a history of being on like
Zoloft.
Mm-hmm.
In middle school.
Thought that like maybe she had gone off her meds or something like that. So like we obviously don't have much access to the ins and out of her medical history, but what we do know, I think, is very significant and paints a full picture, much more of a picture than this POTS stuff going around.
And if she struggled as a child, we won't know, like, if those doctors aren't around, or we don't know, like, they can't subpoena. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's
right, because it's before she was 18.
And we'll only know from what Natalie and Steve give up to, or Kenzie. So
I don't think that those are common issues, though. Like, well, the thing is, too, the hormones and all that, like, can play into a child's demeanor. But this, and when you read the text messages, like, I thought, like, the irritability was coming from her, like, eating disorder. But we don't have verification that she even really had one, right? Like, there's no medical, we're just kind of assuming it.
Yeah, we're just assuming by what people say, yeah, and like her symptoms and stuff. But I mean, no, it's not in this medical report. But it does say malnutrition. So there's that.
Persistent mood. Between outbursts, the child's mood is persistently and chronically irritable or angry most of the day, nearly every day. Like, I don't think that that's a common thing that like kids deal with personally from what I know, but I don't know. I never even heard of this like prior to those documents too. But again, I'm just a mom who covers true crime.
I think someone said that the DMDD is possible, and I don't know, because you're right, we're just true crime junkies, but like someone I think said that it leads to like, I don't know if it was BPD or it's like a precursor or something to like a different behavior disorder. So I don't know, but I could see.
I see what Quinn is saying, how this could like be an umbrella for a lot of things, a lot of different things that like, I don't know. It says disproportionate response. The outbursts are completely out of proportion to the situation or provocation, which we see like her flip on a dime to her parents, to Dom. Her in the Hulu documentary, a student basically backs that up as well. Like talks about her mood and her attitude. and like everybody suffered the wrath.
Yeah, and like even her outfits, the fights with Dom about her outfits, like she was borderline like she couldn't handle it. Like she had a hard time picking out her outfits, and if someone didn't help her pick them out, she was like crying like on the floor. Like there's a lot there going on.
Yeah. And so Sydney says you can't diagnose borderline before 18. Calista says it's hard to be able to diagnose a mood disorder when there are substance issues and ED at the same time, even possible abuse. Yeah. I mean, that's so true. I think that the doctor who diagnosed her was doing the best with the information that he had been given at that time, and it just happens to be in her files. You know what I mean? And I think that there's so many different like perfect storms going on with Mackenzie that it's like, yeah, it can't just be that, or maybe it branched off from that, or another doctor might have looked at her and came up with a different conclusion. But I think everyone's kind of under the agreement that like she had some sort of eating disorder.
Yeah.
The throw them under the bus at police. That was like the most that I always saw her threatening.
Whoa. So you wrong. So Kenzie used to throw him under the bus, saying that she was going to tell the cops that he's playing and banging out there.
Yeah. But if arguments went to the tippy top, from what I've seen in text messages. Now, have I ever seen that in person? No. But what I've seen from these text messages now, and after watching that girl on YouTube go.
But isn't that like blackmail though? Because now Dom, if he leaves her, right? If Dom leaves her, now he's got to worry about her ratting him out.
Yeah, I could see how that could be used as blackmail.
That's interesting that he knows how blackmail works in a sense of like, if Dom leaves her, she can rat him out. You could say the same thing about him and Rosie in a way.
Exactly. And they've been together 9 years. So there's a lot there.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that I went to high school with that like married each other. I think that's weird, but I don't know. I'm wondering if your high school was the same way. Like, do you know like a lot of people who married each other from high school?
No, actually.
How big was your graduating class?
Oh, it was big.
Okay, yeah, mine was
I don't know.
500-600 maybe.
I don't even know, to be honest. But even thinking back to it, like I can't see myself marrying someone that I dated in high school. It's weird.
I agree.
But that's just me personally.
And I think it's also weird in Bubba's story because he talks about how that night was all about how some of them are leaving to college and they're not going to the same places, and like fear of like loss of connection, and like that's the vibe that he painted.
Yeah.
And it's like then you end up with Rosie for 9 years. Like I don't know. Again, it's like every little aspect I'll overanalyze, and it could just be like, well, yeah, they're in love, they care about each other, and that it is what it is. But I'm always like, no, like I said, secrets bind people.
They do.
Blackmail. Yeah, because think about it. If say there was more to the story, if Bubba decides he's out, like wouldn't she kind of worry? Like, is he gonna tell his new, like when he meets somebody else, or if Rosie met somebody else, like you're gonna talk about this because it's a significant aspect in your life. You're still in communication with Mackenzie.
Exactly.
But for some reason, it's like they're all bound together. Him, the Shirillas, Mackenzie, and Rosie.
They are bound together. It's odd.
I think it's odd. I think it's beyond like, well, yeah, we all know each other. Like, I think and we went through a traumatic event. I think it's more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, it is. Oh, believe me.
Yeah. No, I could see that wrap around it. Now, did it like I feel like she would get to the point from what I've seen in text messages where she's like, oh, don't be surprised when you see the police at your house tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then it's like the police never came and they always made up in a way. And I don't know if it was because she was blackmailing them in that sense. Like I don't.
Well, I don't know if she looks at it as blackmail. That was her frame of mind. But I mean, if you're out there hustling and you said this early on in the interview that he was somewhat paranoid. because the heat was on. And the last thing you need is someone who's close to you that knows all your secrets to basically say, hey, I just might fucking drop a dime on you. That's just that feels like shit, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what the extent of what proof there was if she were to ever follow through with that, you know, like in her phone or whatnot. But like, I don't know, like from the general feelings that I get from them, it never seemed like he was always keeping her around because she had dirt on him. You know what I mean? It was always, I felt like that was used as like at the end of the day, I would see her ratting him out to the police in a fight. Like if they were breaking up, she would rat him out to the police before she'd go and take his life in cold blood for that. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what I pick up from that whole sense is that.
And that's an interesting point. You know, like why if he was going to break up with her, why wouldn't she just go to the police like she said she was going to do? And it's like, well, because she could be in trouble for being attached to him as well. Or maybe Dom did find out about the Snapchat meetups with older men for cash. And so he had blackmail then on her.
I think that he was definitely worried about her. Yeah. Whatever it is that he had going on. I think he was worried that Kenzie would put him in jail or involve his family somehow.
Yeah. So then Bubba's saying, I don't think that she would crash the car. I think she would just go to the police.
Would she go to the police though if it involves her family or his? I don't know.
I don't know. Because that is sort of like just to play devil's advocate. Like, yeah, like if he was she felt him slipping away at that moment. So she gets all pissed, you know what I mean? And in the moment does it. Although like she's not really thinking, I guess you could say in that rage that, you know, maybe I should just go to the police on him instead. Like, I don't know. Maybe he was like, go ahead. Like at that point, he's probably thinking like I could get a lawyer and I'd be okay. Maybe he was done with her abusing him with that blackmail. And then she's like, oh, that's not going to work on him.
Yeah. Could be. He might have just finally gotten over it. And he's like, I guess I'll do the time or, you know, deal with it as it comes.
Yeah.
That like anytime they have gotten into an over the top argument, it always resorts back to him saying something about getting blackmailed or her saying that she's going to go.
Oh, so he has said that? He has said that?
Yeah. I remember in the text messages, he's been like, you've tried to blackmail me to the police 100 times.
Ooh, see, I didn't read this text messages. Yeah. JFK is just thinking, so he has said this.
So see here he's saying like, yeah, there was text messages about that. But then he also like 20 minutes ago said that there was no like fighting in between them.
Exactly. Bubba lies.
Like, wait, what? That's the thing. Is somebody in chat said like Bubba just keeps talking, like he can't shut up. Like, buddy, you are digging yourself a deeper and deeper hole and you're pulling Rosie down.
Do you see what I mean with like he gives too much detail because I think he's trying to keep the truth so covered up that he's just like adding details and details and details and details. And it's like, dude, we can tell that you're this is like awkward. How much he's talking.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't talk to the police for months.
Right. That's the thing that I also have a problem with too. Yeah. Hashtag Bubba lies. The whole going on for hours and hours between here and TikTok. And remember, he said that they filmed for like 8 hours for Netflix and he was all mad at like the clips that they pulled from all that filming. He did a lot of talking and it's like, why?
It was like 18 hours, he said.
Oh my God. I think it was something crazy. That's wild.
But then not talk to the police for 2 months. And then Rosie didn't even talk to the police. So there's that.
Yeah. Why the hell did he wait 2 months to talk to the police?
I don't know. I think it was like 1 or 2 months.
Yeah.
And that can't sit well with her because now.
And they had to chase him down at his college.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so you just went on to college and just thought you were going to move on and the police wouldn't want to talk to you? Like I don't think he and Rosie realize how like grimy they appear.
I know.
Oh, if you just, I'm just saying now, if that's already a conversation, now she's thinking, damn, he only got me around because he has to have me around. So now it's like they're both walking on eggshells, right? It's like, it's just an awkward situation.
Yeah, I guess like I don't know, like it was never made apparent to us. Like I said, like when we were hanging out with them in the moment and knowing them, like that was never apparent to us. It didn't seem like, they didn't not share like a true love bond. It didn't seem like, they were only there because of blackmail and certain things and fights and that they physically just can't leave each other. Like I said, I've had conversations with Dom where, the one was at the house, was at Kenzie's grad party where I'm wearing a neon green shirt and Dom's wearing shoes. There's pictures of it out there somewhere. One of the pictures of us playing the Wii at that party. And when he was over at my house on 2 separate occasions, me and him have had like, not like personal talks, but we've had a one-on-one talk where we kind of share like how we fucked up as boyfriends at certain points in our life and have made these type of mistakes. And the one time specifically was that when we were at Kenzie's grad party, me and him were on the back porch and he was specifically saying, he goes, I've done this, I've done that, I've cheated, I've done this. But at the end of the day, like I've realized who I want to be with. And like the universe keeps showing me signs and telling me who I want to be with. So like I've heard these personal stories from him. And then the other time was at my house. There was a video of them on a hammock. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but there's a video of them on a hammock. And that was at my house. And on that same hammock, Dom's like sitting there laughing. He's like, I'm telling you, man. He's like, I just like right in front of me, I see mine and Mackenzie's future. And like, I know that she's the one that I want to be with. And like, those are the 2 separate accounts where I've heard that. So from what when I say from what I've seen with my personal eyes, I've not seen that like they're in this tumultuous relationship where they're stuck together because she's threatening him with this and this and that. Like, I feel like they both had their own problems upstairs mentally. And I felt like their fights were just extremely toxic, but then they never led anywhere. Like none of the fights ever led anywhere. It never like transitioned into real life. Like
the relationship was extremely toxic, but it never led anywhere. But now Dom's dead and she crashed her car and is in prison. Like, what are you saying, Bubba?
Exactly. I think Bubba just needs to stop talking.
Holy cow, dude. Like, it never led anywhere. It led straight to a building.
In 2 deaths. Like,
yeah.
2 lives.
Like, he's just, I don't know. He definitely isn't helping the Shirillas with this interview either.
He's so like emotionless that's why I think that, and I guess I don't expect him up to be crying like a baby up here or anything, but like it seems rather cold to me. And that makes me think like, okay, you definitely know a lot more.
I agree. And like, could it be, I don't know, like him being in a toxic relationship to a point where like he's like brainwashed into this whole story and narrative too?
I think it's in this interview. He says that Rosie is toxic. I don't know if you've gotten to that part or if it's coming up, but I'm pretty sure it's in this interview that if I remember correctly. He basically says that Rosie is toxic. So I think that Bubba is in a toxic relationship. And Rosie too. I think it's toxic.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
So then that kind of goes back to this whole like what's keeping them together. It doesn't seem like it's love.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Some of these fights that we see over text message were like during the time we were hanging out with them, and we'd never seen those signs of fights, But then once all this information comes out and we see these text messages, we see that they were fighting at this time. They did have fights when we were friends with them and seeing them every day, but we still never seen that translate into real life, like in front of us. They never made it known that they had these type of problems going on.
I understand. Let's just go a little bit more into this video.
Up with this? Do you know? I've personally been told that she did voodoo on him. I mean, I personally don't believe that, but she has told people that she put a spell on him so that he couldn't break up with her. Oh, she's gone. She's arrested.
I didn't think she would get arrested at all for this. That's the last thing I'm thinking about is now she's going to be arrested. I'm thinking about, oh my God, our friends are dead. Like, how are we going to recover from this?
You guys are acting like this is like just.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
I wasn't thinking that she was going to get arrested. Like, then why'd you go to Paul's house?
Mm-hmm.
The day you found out that she was still alive, because that's noteworthy too. Because if we're keeping in on the table that possibly they drove by the crash site or we're at the crash, I don't know, speculation, allegedly, we're just working things out. You were definitely like concerned about your story and what to get together because you went to Paul's house where all this started. The day that you found out she was alive and the others were dead.
Exactly.
So I don't believe that. Yeah. Anything that Bubba and her have said, nope.
I agree. They're not credible. They're not credible at all.
Yeah. Like, I feel like we've seen enough of like, even in the Netflix, instantly you and I were like, not believing Rosie.
Nope. I didn't believe her. Not for
instantly. I was like, yeah, no. That was my thought. I'm telling you right now. I seen what I needed to see.
Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby.
No.
That was us like seeing Rosie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never believed.
I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy, but I'm not a murderer.
She's so stupid. I'm not saying I'm innocent, but I'm not a murderer. So you're saying you're innocent. Like,
she was so cringe. I couldn't even believe my eyes when I saw this documentary.
And think about, and guys, I don't want to hold Melly all night because
you're fine. You're good.
But yeah, I want to just get a little bit more done and that, but not too long with your time. But
oh yeah, don't worry about it.
Looking at Mackenzie in Netflix, like, and the pictures, you know, how many times have we seen this on Facebook and all social media platforms? This story blew up after Netflix, you know, so different, like a different face. And I guess like prison time would change somebody, you know what I mean? But to me, it was almost like a totally different girl than what we've seen in her TikToks, on her Instagram, pics with Dom, videos with Dom. Like, who I saw this girl and I was like, who is this? Even her voice is different.
Yeah, it's very, very odd. She's changed a lot.
Yeah.
So let me just back it up a little bit. Let me play one other part of a video that I would like to play. It's this part right here that I want to play.
And sorry, I keep moving the screen around.
I think it's this one right here.
Also 8 grams of hash.
8 grams of mushrooms.
There was some missing. That's what we discovered in the report today or yesterday. I can't remember because I've been reading it for 2 days.
I did read through it today because I remember thinking like I should take note of like the grams that are being discussed.
Yeah, it was like 8 and then it was like 8 and then or something along those lines. And then when they, on the toxicology report, it was or the testing of the stuff, it says like 6 point something. So there was shrooms missing. Someone took shrooms, something happened to them. I don't know.
What the heck?
Yeah.
And what would be the point in taking 0.2? Or no, 2 grams? I'm not good at math.
Yeah, it would be like 2 point something, I think. So someone tripped, right?
Damn, yeah, because 2 grams is like...
That's a lot, I think, of shrooms, but I don't know.
No, it's really not. Like I was going to say that's like the perfect amount for like a trip.
Is it? See, I don't know. I was more, we smoked a lot of tree when I was in high school and college. So like, that was like more of our choice of fun. But you're right. I think even 2 grams would definitely be enough to trip.
Yeah, Rosie wanted 2.5. Honestly, 2.5 is like you're not gonna freak out and like go crazy. I don't know. Some people handle things differently, and it is food poisoning, so everyone's body is gonna be different. Obviously, I'm referring to stuff that I've done in research purposes only.
Yeah, exactly.
We needed to retain a forensic auto investigator to do a complete analysis of that car.
See, that is interesting because it's like, where did like 2 grams? Why isn't the grams the same in the? And these are things that like I just wonder, and I know you do too, like, okay, she's guilty. I'm okay with that. But the things in the investigation that are like, wait, so here it's stating there was so Netflix detective says there's 8 grams. You pulled up documents that when things went to the lab, they have it documented as 6 something left.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody said in the chat, I thought people were saying Davion tripped. Maybe. Could that have been why Davion went with them in the car? He was tripping and they needed to get him home.
Definitely. Because like the other thing too is that some of them didn't go to bed. And like Bubba has openly said that like Mackenzie was her story is she's always passed out in all his recollections of that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Convenient. And by the time it's like 5:30, 5:15 in the morning, you know, they're ready to go home. It's like you guys were up all night tripping. Just say it. Because you
Exactly.
got there around midnight or 11:30, Bubba says. Takes around half hour to kick in. It lasts like what? I don't know, 5 hours maybe. It's been so long since I've done this research, quote unquote.
And then Paul's in and out of sleep. Dom's nowhere to be found with Kenzie when Kenzie wakes up. Like there's just too much going on here.
Yeah, it says a magic mushroom trip, and I'm going on off of Google, typically lasts between 3 to 6 hours. The exact timeline and duration of experience depends on your metabolism, the dosage, how the shrooms were prepared, and whether they were consumed on an empty stomach. It takes around 20 to 60 minutes to kick in. Peak is 1 to 3 hours away from the time it starts you ingested it, and coming down takes around 3 to 6 hours too. That coming down is so that would be around the time that they're ready to leave, if this speculation is true. It says mind altering effects gradually plateau and begin to fade. That's around 3 to 6 hours mark. I'm saying your thoughts will begin to clear and you start to return to your normal state of consciousness. And what do you know? 3 to 6 hours. That's right when they're deciding, like, let's all go home.
Like 5-ish in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, like when we talk about the I love you text messages, one, you know, Dom's sister said that was normal. 2,
his best friend says it's not normal.
Yeah. And well, the father text to the dad, she said was normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
The friend stuff, yeah, that to me would be like he was tripping and thought like, I want to express. And this whole talk, that's interesting. I just had this idea. When Bubba's talking to JFK about what she was talking about and thinking on the way home from his house that morning, and he's like, well, you know, she just felt nostalgic because they were all going away and she realized that she doesn't hate this town, even though we all said we did, blah, blah, blah. Could that have been the discussion they were all having when they were tripping?
Possibly.
Doesn't that like epiphany and like deep thought that he was saying she was having on the drive home that morning? Like that to me sounds like, you know, a lot about this because like it was maybe said to you that night, but not on her drive home.
And I can't remember if it was Rosie or Bubba that said we were having deep conversations.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that can happen with bong rips like they admitted to, but bong rips can, you know, help intensify the whole trip. So why don't you just come out saying that you did it?
And maybe I'm thinking, okay, so maybe Davion was going to get a ride home with Bubba, that Bubba's parents are home. But if Davion was tripping, Davion couldn't go with Bubba. Maybe that's why Davion went with, again, Kenzie and Dom.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, what would be the reason for Davion to get in the car with them if they're fighting?
Right. That's a good point. So let's say for right now, before we end for right now, the deep dive, let's say that we've kind of come to the conclusion that they were having like a trip and they were leaving when the come down was happening, but Davion was still like not in a place where he could be around parents or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously would just feel more comfortable probably crashing at Dom's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it brings us to them in the car, you know? So it's like, so then what would have taken place?
Something happened with Dom and Kenzie. Like we could like something, and I think it's at the house.
It has to be the house, because why else would Bubba, Paul, and Rosie link up on the day that they find out so-and-so, you know, Mackenzie's still alive? Go ahead.
I'm wondering if were fighting, obviously, at the house. And maybe that's why they rushed to leave too.
Yeah. The thing is, the early reports, we need to make a composite and just lump it together of everything we heard about how there were fights, like where it came from, who said it. Because there's been multiple sources at this point between interviews and documents and phone calls where like people did allude to an argument at the house, and then all of a sudden the narrative changed. I think Dom's brother said that.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I feel I've always felt that definitely something went down at that house. And I think that someone did go by the site. I really do.
I'm thinking I'm there with you right now. Like I'm open to it more than I was before tonight's discussion of the way that Bubba acts and talks of people like who helped the investigation with the 360 stuff. Like he had nothing but bad things to say, and that Life 360 shows her going that speed.
Yeah. And then that light too, like in the car.
Yeah. I saw an interesting, which I'm glad you brought that up. Somebody said, hold on, let me pull up my other video that has it like zoomed in more. I saw it in a comment section. It said, could that light that we've been like looking into have been Dom opening his passenger seat? Hold on. To like leave the car.
Oh, like opening the door?
Yeah. So I'm going to play this again. It's pixelated because it's a zoomed in screenshot of the vehicle turning on that road. I thought that was interesting because in our first live that we did the deep dive on a few weeks ago, we talked about how this image in ChatGPT said that it was like, could be a digital screen possibly, or the navigation and all this stuff. It wasn't like 100% on what it could be. But then somebody said, could it be like the door opening?
I didn't even think of that.
Hold on, let me play it. It'll start playing. Okay, yeah, I was going to say. Because she goes super slow, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. And she turns on her turn signal.
Yeah. But like, I would love to know if this car, which you could easily look it up and find out probably, like, I don't know. It looks too square and like low for it to be like the dome light.
It actually looks like a screen.
Yes.
For me, it looks like a laptop.
I agree. And that's when I said in your chat weeks ago.
And it's in the police report we're reading right now.
What?
The light. Did you miss that?
Yes. I was like in and out.
In this investigative report yesterday, the detective notes that there is a light in the vehicle and they don't touch on it again, ever again.
I told you.
Yes. It's at the very beginning. I could probably even.
Wow.
Yes. You missed it. This was yesterday. I think it was in yesterday's live.
Wow. I love it when like I notice something and then like documents back it up. And I'm like, okay, I knew that I had noticed something but that's interesting. It's never talked about again.
No, he says there is a light that is noticeable. There's a glow coming from the passenger seat. Yes, they noted it in this investigative document. I'll even send you a screenshot tonight because you were right. There was definitely something there.
That's interesting. And then, but nothing is listed.
Nope. It's
as-
not brought up ever again as evidence, as is damage from the car, as
Girl.
as stuff that they recouped from her bag, etc. There's nothing.
I just had a thought.
What?
Oh my gosh. I have to make a disclaimer. Of course, this is just speculation. I'm thinking out loud as we're discussing, because the thing about Melly, guys, is like, she's got a photographic memory with these documents and text messages. Like, I know that if I ask her something, she's read it and it's imprinted in her mind because she's that deep in like this case. And is it possible that this whole drive by the scene and stuff wasn't just to get illicit stuff out of the car? Could they have gone and like taken like a laptop or something?
Yes, because this is another rumor and this is just speculation. Allegedly, Bubba posted a Snapchat or a TikTok a couple of days after the crash with hella money, like Kenzie has in her pictures, and that money is Dom's in Kenzie's pictures.
Oh my God.
So a lot of people were saying, where did Bubba? I have that picture somewhere too. Why would he be posting that like a couple days or not so long after the crash? And where did he get all that cash from?
Oh my God.
Okay, I just pulled it up on the report. It's on page 7. A glow was visible through the driver's side window, presumably from a digital device.
I knew it.
You were right when you first told me, when I first saw this with you.
And no one was
who told
talking
me
about it. And then all of a sudden I saw people talking about it on TikTok, like after our discussion.
And this was under the scene photography, August 1st, 2022, by the main detective. So I would like to know what they recovered on that information, because it's not brought up again.
That's a hole in this story in a way.
Yeah, because it just, there's too much here that's not making sense with them driving by, or Rosie driving by. They know that. They reported that to the police. And then there's a digital device. We don't know what happened that night. Like, there's a lot of we don't know. And I think we've just all been so consumed in this case, like, and now things are starting to come out. You see what I'm saying?
And the thing is, like, nothing we're talking about makes her less guilty. So there's no need for people to be upset, like, with us having questions.
People are upset. People unsubscribed because I was like reading. Yeah.
And that's, it is what it is, because when you investigate these cases, like, you can't have like your feelings attached. Like, we're just digging into what happened. You know what I mean? Like, with respect to the victims, of course, and I feel like you can still have justice for the victims and be happy that Mackenzie's in prison. But also, like, if there's more to individuals attached to this and they've done something wrong, like, to me, it's like you should have to pay for that.
And I personally am like a very spiritual person. So I believe if this case was meant to be done and closed, the universe would provide that. Like, how it's suddenly blown up in the way it did. I mean, me and you even talked about this before. Like, dude, it's going crazy. Like, we've been on this case for what, a year? Before the documentary. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I just think that things coming out to light is not a coincidence.
Yep. And Bubba acting the way he is not just because of coincidence either. Like, what's interesting too about what Bubba says is kind of like we're in agreement with, like, what the narrative they've shown us, like, isn't the truth. And it's like, could mean totally something different to him, but to us, it's like, if this was nothing, there should be a laptop or whatever that screen is, like, listed in the evidence report or whatever was pulled from the car as inventory, and then all our questions would go away.
And think about it. If they realized it was a device, is that why she crashed that car? and what was on that device. Do you
There's-
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the problem too is combine the fact that in the report you read today showed Bubba asking to go to Davion's room,
Mhm.
and Mackenzie asked Dom's mother if she could go to his house. It's like, and then we're talking about a screen that was noted and then never followed up on. Like, there's too many things that leave room for like people wanting certain things back, or maybe a hard drive of whatever that had evidence on. I don't know. Maybe we will find a document that states that there was a laptop in the car or something, but so far we have yet to see any of that.
No,
We
yeah,
just have
exactly.
the one that says that they noticed that there could be one.
Yeah.
Like even ChatGPT said that this looked like a digital device.
And I think the whole situation where like they gave Davion's family gave Bubba like something of Davion's and then asked for it back. I'm like, that is weird with the whole walk in the room closure, then giving him Davion's stuff and then taking it back. Like, what the heck is going on? It's weird behaviors. I get it. Everyone's grieving. Everyone's probably up in their, head up about this case, especially the victim's family. Like, I cannot imagine. But at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here that
But in between grieving, you're telling me Bubba posted a pics with money?
Yeah. I'm going to try to find it. Yeah, I have it. I saved it somewhere or something on TikTok. I will absolutely find it and share it with you tonight.
And I know that this information could be personal, but also at the same time, it's vital. Do we have any like list of items that the victims had on them? Like was Dom riding around with a bunch of cash on him, or?
I mean, they didn't tell us about the ammo. And if there was a digital device, they didn't tell us about that either. All they told us about was the shrooms, the Puffco, the money, Kenzie's money, $165, and then the weed.
Yeah, see, that's weird that there's all these pics of money, all these wads of money in photos, and we don't have any like documentation. And I think they even asked like Dom's mother about something about his house, and she says that they went and they searched and didn't find any cash or something like that. Like, where is this cash at?
And why not report like, okay, someone was like, you're showing your feelings about the ammo, but I'm like, that's weird to leave that out of the main points of the case, that there was ammo found underneath Dom's seat. Where's the GUN? And that is weird.
Yeah. That's not his car. That's her car.
Exactly.
So where
that is a big deal to me. If I get pulled over and there's ammo in my car, that's a big deal.
So let's say that there's a weapon that's unaccounted for, cash that's unaccounted for, and now like shrooms or something. Are we like, when did the shrooms go from 8 grams to 6?
Exactly.
And
maybe it could have been lost by the detectives, like the police, like maybe in the midst of getting her belongings, but I don't know. It just all seems too odd to me.
Like somebody should have rolled up and found some of Dom's cash and been like, I found this, it's accounted for, but nobody, which is concerning because it leaves me to think somebody took his cash. I don't know. I just find it weird that in all the interviews we heard, nobody like talks about his cash, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like set on finding that post now because I know I have to show you guys at some point.
And if Bubba's posting pics with cash during the grieving process, and there's rumors that they were at the scene, my head is spinning with what that could mean. And then I also have to think into account, like, police also have their hands on everything. If they come across cash, like, are they gonna like turn it in as evidence? Like, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just find it weird that you know, people went through his stuff, and there's rumors that other people were at the scene, and people didn't want to talk to the police, and they go back to Paul's house. Paul's parents come back early from their trip. Like there's too much weird stuff going on. Even the rumor about when her blood was tested. Why is that all over the place?
Right? It's I'm telling you, there's like way too much.
Because that would be a real problem if they did test her days later, because if she was tripping, like that would be important information to like why all this happened. But people are like, oh, it wasn't, they took it in the helicopter. And I don't know, has that been ironed out for sure in your investigation? That
they did dispose of the one on 7/31, which was the day of, and they kept the samples from 8/3 and 8/4. But by that time, it would have already been 3 or 4 days, and all of those drugs can possibly be out of your system for the blood test. Now, if they would have done something different, like a hair follicle, etc., they might have got a lot more information. But for blood specifically, those drugs like acid, LSD, and shrooms, I think leave within 24 to, or it was 6 to 24 hours or something like that. I know I went over it today, but.
So the blood that they pulled from the helicopter was lost.
They disposed of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found it interesting that Annie Elise from 10 to Life came out with that, where she like honed in on it, and she's got a huge platform.
Yeah.
And then all of a
she
sudden
had to come
everyone was
back
like,
out.
no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that it was true.
Well, it is. Well, that's the thing, is I think people are forgetting about this investigative document. Like, it says a lot in there. And I knew when I heard Annie Elise, I was like, I don't think that's true. So I'm with you on that. But then I read this and I'm like, wait, it gives us all the details of it. So
they disposed of it.
The hospital, the physician like canceled the lab order or something along those lines. I can't remember verbatim of I think it was yesterday, the report. But yeah, they did. I think they disposed of something from that initial blood sample on 7/31.
I don't know. There's holes even in like the investigation that I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard to figure out like what really took place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then it's like, I'm leaving the door open for like, is law enforcement trying to make up for like shortcomings that had taken place too? Because no investigation is perfect. Yeah. And then in these shortcomings, did people slip between the cracks? Like, I don't know. Even with a lawyer, why didn't Rosie even lawyer up and do an interview?
Right.
With a lawyer, like we've seen that before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all the time. You know what I mean?
And she said that she was worried about them pinning
the drug dealer on her, blaming her for it. Remember?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't afford a lawyer. And so I don't know. It's all weird.
I didn't think of that. Maybe they couldn't afford one, but I thought Rosie's dad is in law enforcement. Could that be why she also didn't have to do it? Question mark.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Like, I think that there's more to this Bubba interview. Like, let's see where I'm only 2 hours into it. Was 4 hours and 25 minutes. So I don't know.
It gets really good. You need to finish it.
I know that I came in around this part, but I never finished it completely. So there's going to be things that I'm hearing twice and then new things near the end. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on. If you guys haven't subbed, she's in the description box, the title and the chat. So definitely head over. She does the weekday streams. Since I'm only on the weekends, you can definitely tune into her deep dives during the week and pretty daily too.
Yeah, I do. I try to go live every day. I always have fun talking with you about this case. We're deep into it. So thank you for having me on too.
No problem. I think it's gonna take like a lot of brainstorming to kind of get to the truth, closer to the truth of what took place.
Well, and let's not forget her appeal still hasn't even been into the system of the Supreme Court. So it's still pending. And there is a possibility she might get an appeal approved, you guys. We know we don't want that to be the case, but it could always be possible.
Yeah.
Like the Supreme Court might decide, you know what, she was actually 17 and et cetera, et cetera. And then the whole lawyer thing. I mean, it's still possible. So for sure, we'll continue to hear about this case and we're both continuing to cover it. So
yeah. And the more Bubba keeps talking.
Exactly. But thank you for having me on. I always have so much fun. If you want me on next time, hit me up.
Yay. Next Friday. No.
Okay. Yeah. That's why I did my live earlier today. Cause I was like, okay, if I'm going to go on ATS, then I'll go on earlier. So yeah, just let me know.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, ATS.
Okay.
Thank
bye.
you, chat.
Yay. So thanks everybody for being here. We are going to do Friday night true crime deep dives into this case continued because there's so much to go through and I need to know more of feeling like I know what took place that night. I'm just not there yet. I do think Mackenzie is at fault, obviously, for everything that happened to Dom and Davion. So it's not a matter of like finding out like the truth as far as her innocence. It's more so the more Bubba keeps talking, I'm sorry, the more questions I have about him and Rosie. And I think that that's a grave that they've kind of dug themselves, you know, especially for someone like me that I'm just like, wait a minute. No. You said this time. Now it's this. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Check out Melly. And I just wanted to thank chat. Hold on. There was one more. Thank you for gifting Chuck's Anderson's granddaughter. Appreciate you very much. Welcome to the tomorrow night. We're going to do like our usual Saturday night hangout. During the week, I'm putting out videos and shorts. And then we do True Crime, Mackenzie Shirilla Deep Dives Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to talk about some updates in the true crime community regarding Criminal Network's arrest that took place live at Nancy Guthrie's house. If you missed that video of the arrest live, that's on the video section. And then, of course, we've got the JLR updates and all that to discuss too. So that'll be tomorrow night. So I hope I can see you guys then for our hangout night because it's much more like laid back, less serious, and we just talk true crime community and all that. So join me then. Bye, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who donated and to the members. I appreciate all the moderators. Bye, guys.